It's a simple game, really. Finish races, score points. Genofricha hasn't had a victory all season, yet the absences of Andy T and the fluctuating form of Juanmi Costa has put the Austrian on top and the season into a state of uncertainty. That is exactly what we want heading into the true racers circuit, where the best become the best and the good get discarded. This is round 10 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Welcome to Imola, and coverage is brought to you by the Global SimRacing Channel. Good morning, good afternoon, and evening, sim racing fans around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Joey Atterbury is alongside me for today's showcase, with behind-the-scenes action being directed by Daniel Costello, with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Now, Imola may just be the greatest racetrack in the world. Every corner steeped with racing legacy and history from a bygone age. Let's take a deeper dive at what turns heads in Emilia-Romagna with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, but most race fans know this place as simply Imola. This circuit in the northern part of Italy has seen some of the highest highs and lowest lows in motorsports history. The various tragedies that have marred the track left no choice but to alter it in the name of safety. While it originally featured mostly fast, sweeping corners, its modern 3-mile or 5-kilometer version is punctuated by tricky chicanes and incredibly technical turns. iRacing includes the Grand Prix layout and a moto version, which adds one more chicane to the front stretch. Tamburello is perhaps the most notorious of the corners for claiming the life of multi-time world champion Ayrton Senna when it was still a single breathtaking turn. Now the Triple Apexer not only offers potential passing opportunities, but catches out drivers quite frequently. While heavy braking zones are everywhere, because few places allow the cars to get up to speed, overtaking is generally seen as an exercise in frustration. As if to almost counteract this quality, the track itself is situated in a gorgeous public park and sends the drivers through the beautifully calming Italian countryside. It also includes a fair bit of elevation change, in which the track is split between the higher up back half and the lower first portion. It's no wonder that this place still proves popular with drivers and fans in spite of its difficulties in history. The Tifosi keep returning each and every time the sound of engines roar among the trees, and who can blame them?
So that's what makes Imola such a revered place to drive. But Joey, you talk about this track, it is the perfect combination of style of corner along with elevation change. It is the hot lapping dream. If there was any place you could have one hot lap at, this probably might be the place.
It's a fantastic racing circuit, and to watch these specific cars around here is going to be something else, especially with the downforce that they make. Going to really be charging into a lot of the stuff. Turns 2, 3, 4, known as Tamburello there, always a passing opportunity. And then really, if you ask me, technical, like you were saying, Jake, through turns 5 and 6, all the way up through 9 and 10, and then also another really tricky chicane known as the Variante Alta up there, turns 11 and 12. But, Jake, no matter what, you got tall curbs, you got to watch the apexes and exits out here. If you ask me, it's all going to come down to turn 15, who can get the launch on the corner exit to drive all the way down that straightaway.
Yeah, and it's a long front stretch as well, edited from when it used to be a flick right into a left-right Variante Bassa chicane. This is a truly important race circuit to keep in mind. But let's take a look at how the championship looks as we head into this 10th round of 12. There are 2 drop rounds available. Those who have used all their rounds have their drop rounds, or their first of 2 drop rounds put in. Genofricha, no wins in the season, on top of the timing stand, or top of the championship by 22 points over Juanmi Costa. Andy T has 6 victories this season, but has missed 3 races, so is down in 3rd, but is here today. It's then Timothy Reed in 4th, with Kimmo Villiakainen in 5th, Kartik Pai, Nick Fisson, the F2 champion from last season, Tamas Bartfai in 8th position, Dylan Freckleton and Timothy Vaughan rounding out the top 10, 9th and 10th, split by nothing. F2 looks incredibly close as well, Joey, nothing between them at the top.
Incredibly close is one way to put it. Yeah, tied up between Jason Clapper and Olivier Verhagen, and looking at time and scoring, these are both regular drivers. We'll have to see if they're in our split here. Then you a little bit further down, Keith Herner very much still in it. Miguel Moreland there, 4th place. Barry West and Kurt Clapper also in another tie-in. Don't forget Jack David Spickett, only 2 points out of there. So if you ask me, Jake, F2 incredibly close, only a couple races left. It's going to be about getting the consistent finishes to see who can be on top.
What I will say is there's only one driver in that top 10 in the race here today, and that's Juho Rainer, who has the opportunity to really make some progress in through. But qualifying has already brought itself through to a close then, so we are able to head over to the starting grid to see how everybody stacks up today here at Imola. And it's number 1, Andy T, who is on the pole position, a 129.645, 3/10 quicker than his nearest competitor, Topi Korteniemi, in 2nd position. It will be Juanmi Costa who will start from 3rd place on the grid, with Jerno Fritzsche going from 4th and Nick Thyssen rounding out the top 5. Timothy Reed will start 6th, with Juho Reiher, aforementioned, starting with a very good 7th place, with Nathan Finnegan 8th, Kimmo Villiakainen 9th, and Tamas Bartfai rounding out the top 10 here, Joey.
There in 11th spot, we got Dylan Freckleton, followed up with Karthik Pai. Gerard Burrell there in 13th. Andreas Schuster, 14th. Timothy Vaughn rounds out your top 15. And a couple more here. Alexander Dobitzberger there in 16th. And John Payne going to total out the 17-car field we got today.
Yep, 17 drivers, 20 laps that they will be conducting. And they will know that it will be fraught and fast over the course of the racing that we've got, as we take this fantastic scenic look at the front stretch and over towards then the beautiful corner there of the Tosa hairpin. This circuit, of course, did at one stage in time host the Cycling World Championships, which was won by Julian Alaphilippe as they went through. But everyone's lined up, so we'll get the engine notes rising, and it's going to be a fast run to Tamburello. Let's get things going. Green flag up in the air, and we're racing here from Imola. It's a slow start from the 3rd row then by Nick Thyssen, who drops back. Here comes Korteniemi then to the outside, trying to make the pass on Andy T. He's got to go the long way around if he wants to make this happen. As the inside at turn 2. A little bit of contact in the middle, and this driver in the back. Korteniemi takes the lead, but there's a huge pile-up at the back at Tamburello, and it's caught out a number of drivers in there. Nick Thyssen was the big casualty.
Yeah, Kimmo Villiakainen as well. I think there's about 6 cars all involved back here that have really separated themselves from the rest of the race. And, oh no, looks like Nathan Finnegan has damage from that as well. But out front, still Andy T leading the way.
Yes, in fact, Andy T in 2nd it is. Topi Korteniemi, who's out there, has the race lead and is now looking to try and break away early here in this race. Andy T has not raced the last 3 races in this championship. He needs to get back into form. Korteniemi's not in his title picture. He has been first or has not started. That's been Andy T's MO this season. And he knows that the 2 drivers he's racing for in the championship are right behind him, Juanmi Costa and Jerno Fritzsche. So those 2 are going to try and make some work happen as they head now down the hill towards Ravazza for the first time. These 2 93 left-handers. I tell you what, I'd love a house on the outside of Ravazza. That is a dream house in my book.
Yeah, there's not too many places that you can get right up alongside the racetrack. You know, cook your breakfast and then go out on the porch and watch the race in the afternoon. Pretty cool. And you're right, Topi Korteniemi definitely making the most of his track position right now, trying to stay out of the draft, keep Andy T way back there, but it's really these top 3, Topi, Andy, and Juan Mi.
Yeah, so these 3 will be looking to try and make something happen. Look how wide Andy T goes then, coming off of the 3rd part of Tamburello. He's trying to use all the road, chase down the margin set by Korteniemi. But the key here is that this is the first car that really introduced ground effect, and so aerodynamics are going to be key. Not as much as you would see maybe, Joey, in the current make of Formula vehicle that's out there at the moment, but it's still a prevalent factor, the wake that you get through these corners. And this is a high downforce circuit here at Imola, so it is very easy to get caught out by the turbulences.
It really can be, and especially through these sections where you're really relying on the grip that the car is making. And you're right, they produce the downforce a little bit differently in how the car is designed, but the amount of grip is still there as you see these cars really have tremendous amounts of entry speed.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on how much entry speed these drives will take. top three breaking away from Jennifer in fourth position in this race, who's holding his own three-car train then at this point in time. Let's take a little look, though, back at the start of this. So this is what's happened then to Kimmo Villiakainen as he potters about trying to get the car back home, and I believe would just about manage it then on the opening lap. So Villiakainen, another driver, a very talented driver as the finisher, starlet there, but finding himself down into the pits, then drove it all the way there and is going to have to take the retirement. There's no fast repairs here in this series.
Yeah, and that's just one of the casualties from the start of the race. There was several cars involved, and Kimmo actually got a really good standing start, but once they got down there into that first turn 2-3 chicane, things got gathered up pretty quickly in front of him and didn't really have much place to go, but he was not the only one that was caught out in that one, definitely. But back to the race up front, still Kortinaimi leading the way, but it seems like Andy T has developed a rhythm out there.
I think he certainly has, and he's going to try and close that down slowly but surely. Took 2/10 out of Kortinaimi over that last lap as they now head to what is colloquially known since 2021 as the Curva Corsini. We'll always call it the Variante Alta because that's what it was, one of the most fearsome corners before they slowed it right down and made it a slow stopping chicane. That used to be the fastest 4th to 5th gear flick going through that section of track. It's what made it so incredible.
You know, and it's tough to just talk about the one place on this racetrack, Jay. It seems like you could point out a few corners, and they're all really incredible, and with the downforce that these cars make, it's just amazing to watch them go through at speed.
It is, as Andy T sets the fastest lap then of the race, just a little bit behind our graphic there up on the top right, but it is a 1:30.659, which is good enough because that was set as a clean lap. His last lap was quicker there out there on circuit, but because he had an off-track incident somewhere along the lap, he ran himself into trouble. Now, 3-car scraps are the aim of the game here today. 1st, 2nd and 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, and this is 7th, 8th and 9th. Andreas Schuster on the back then of Kartik Pai and Tamas Bartfai at the stage as Bartfai goes around then at Toza, just carrying too much speed.
Can be very common to do, especially in the lower speed corners, Jake. It seems like these cars are set up more for the high-speed downforce, and when you have to tiptoe them through the slow speed, they can get really loose underneath you.
Oh, they can. And that much we definitely did see. So Tamas Bartfai getting loose, now drops behind the wounded Nick Fisson out there on the circuit. So that is a drop of 4 places for Tamas, and he'll have to work hard to get those places back once again over the course of this race. And because it is only 20 laps, these laps are going to go by really quickly. Yes, they're running 91-second lap times around this place, but it's going to very easily fall away as Andy T will look in front and see Topi Kortinaimi there once again out there in this one. And Kortinaimi's happy to stay over to that right-hand side, cede a 1/10 of a second away to not give a 1/10 of a second's worth of draft to Andy T. So I think it's all even, but T now knows that he's got the turn of pace. He was 3/10 quicker in qualifying. He wants to prove that he's got the race pace here to the Villeneuve chicane. Not close enough just yet. It's very tough to make a move through there.
It is really tough to make a move through there, but cut it down a ton with the slipstream down the front straightaway, and it just seems like Andy T is on a mission right now. He's able to kind of set Topi up where he needs to, late apex, get the launch off. A lot of speed here in this number 1 car.
Oh, and just a bit over the curb at Piratella corner, which is a plateau-style corner as you go through. So just getting it all out of shape, and again, out of shape at Acqua Minerale. I think he's pushing a little bit too hard here now as Andy T's got to dial it back a little bit here because twice in 2 corners he's made a small mistake, and it's only down to the fact that he's got great car control on the less grippy AstroTurf on the outside of some of these corners where he's able to continue in a fashion where a lesser driver would have spun the car up.
And here comes the most important turn. Turn 15, the launch out onto the front straightaway. And crucially, Andy T is about a 1/10 closer than he was his previous lap. Gonna see if he's close enough to make a move here into turn 2.
You can see him going over that curb. He's trying to get some air underneath the car, and as he manages that, he'll get a second wind as he goes through, thanks to the ground effect. It's effectively working like DRS through that opening small run left. Topi Courtiniemi does not want to help with that, and as such, he stays over to the right-hand side here on lap 6. The top two chase themselves through this first sector into the middle sector now. The Tozer hairpin, probably the most underrated corner on this circuit. Up the hill, off of the exit, and now they crest the rise up through around this circuit. I do want to keep an eye out though on Juho Rainer at this point, who is the number 16 car in 6th place for a moment, because this is mega points for the F2 Championship right now, Joey. He's going to be getting.
You're right that this would be big time points here. Coming up on the back of Timothy Reed for a potential top 5. And this is also Nick Thyssen all the way back here, applying the pressure to Andreas Schuster, what is the 8th place battle.
Yeah, so Nick Thyssen, who has been right up near the pointy end this season, has been an incredible ambassador for sim racing and has been a sim racer for well over a decade. Now starts driving through. Look how aggressive he is through the Variante Alta, the Curva Grassini, and now we'll have the outside turn to the inside, heading to Ravazza. Schuster's got nothing to argue down the hill. It's last of the late breakers down here. Thissen's going to get the inside for the first part, can't secure the deal, but the up and under can come through at the second part, and that's what Andreas Schuster now needs, as he will have himself the toe running down this front stretch here, heading towards turn 2 at Tamburello. We'll look to the outside to try and make this move happen, which turns very neatly to the inside. And Nick Thyssen, who did get the pass scored, has nothing to argue with, unless he's a little bit later on the brakes around the outside and holds it through Tamburello. What a move.
Really confident on the brakes from Nick Thyssen, and actually looks like Gerard Burrell is now going to try to get around Andreas Schuster just because it put him offline, and they're staying too wide through the chicane. Looks like the 15 finally claims that spot.
Oh, and a heavy door in the face of Tamas Bartfai, who thought he could go to the inside, but Andreas Schuster said, absolutely not. I'm tired of being freight trained around this Imola circuit. It is stay on the racing line or get in trouble, and Andreas Schuster did just about enough over the course of that to hold the place and hold the position. I tell you what though, this is going to be interesting for the driver who sits in 3rd position in this race, Juan Mi Costa, and this is why he's sat watching Andy T and Topi Courtiniemi. Knows that they are two of the fastest drivers in a Lotus 79 of all time here, Joey, and you sit there, see those two drivers there, you're second in the championship, and you just hope that those two decide they want to start racing, because that's when you get an opportunity.
Well, I think that Juan Mi's being pretty savvy right now. I think that he actually has plenty of speed in his race car, and he's just kind of hanging out, watching Andy and Topi, like you're saying, because they're going at it, and then casually, Juan Mi will throw down like a minute 30.7 out there, which is just hauling the mail and closes up the gap to him. I really think he's just kind of sitting in the buffet line right now.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think it could be very, very telling when drivers are in a position to and drivers are not in a position to. So I'm sure we will start to see where drives going to go through. I have seen some gravel tracks, though, down at Tamburello, and it looks like it was Gerard Burrell who went off at the Tamburello corner. So Burrell in trouble, but Andy T, at least at this point, staying close, staying in range of Topi Courtiniemi. And I think this is a case here for Andy. He's got to be careful about when he chooses. Big kick of oversteer then from Courtiniemi trying to put the power down. You can see those massive chunky rear tyres that are on these Lotus 79s. It's very easy just to clip them over a curb and then find that you're struggling with a little bit of grip.
And look at this, Andy T very close coming out onto the front straightaway. He's definitely close enough to make a move down here into turn 2 in the toe already.
In the toe, searching for a move. He's going to stay with the toe, then look to try and get the little boost of top-end speed. Gets to the inside. Andy T with the fastest lap. Courtiniemi stuck on the outside. He's going to try and shut the door and does so. Andy T to the race lead, where he has been so many times before in this series. And he has won 6 times this season. He's looking for 7 out of 7 starts.
We'll see the pace that he's got now that he's in the clean air, but crucially, look at Juan Mi Costa. he has closed it up to the back of Topi Kortiniemi. That number 3 car's got to keep his eyes on the mirror still.
Yep, he does. And you now have to start thinking about it here with Juanmi Costa there. He can't sit around forever and just say third place is good enough for me. Knows that we're heading to the halfway stage of the race. Knows that this is going to be a crucial point in time where drivers want to try and break away and gain as much as they possibly can. This is no guarantee for anybody here in this, and they are all pushing each other, this top 3 group, as quickly as they possibly can at this moment in time in the race here at lap 9. And already you can see the gap that Andy T has formed, about 0.7 of a second, already hitting the brakes in towards Ravazza. And you can sense it through every corner that he drives through, that he's got confidence in the car when he's out in front, builds a car for being out in front. Now it's Juanmi Costa's turn.
Yeah, Costa only 0.4 of a second behind Topi, but crucially, Kortiniemi is still in that slipstream, so it's going to be difficult for Juanmi to really close up as we saw Andy T do that before. The third car in line always has a tremendous top speed, but second car in line also getting pulled along.
Yep, second in line then. It's going to start searching, and you certainly think that Juanmi Costa's got a chance here to try and go through. They built up a fantastic margin over one, that is Geno Fritsch, and Fritsch at this stage in its 4th position, 8.5 seconds off the race lead. You feel that they've given each other the license to go and race, and they are in this sort of race where they're pushing at 100%, trying to make something happen out there at the moment. Someone who is looking to try and make something happen very soon is Alexander Dobelsberger, who is there in 13th position right now. 3 retirees from this race so far: Nathan Finnegan, Kimmo Villiakainen, and Dylan Freckleton. Eyes on Gerard Borel, who has found the kitty litter once over the course of this race. Doesn't want to do so again, especially with the pressure of Dobelsberger behind.
Yeah, Dobelsberger up a few positions from where he started way back there in 16th spot, and you mentioned it, Borel has kind of had an up and down day, just trying to keep it together out here, but this is the battle for what is 12th on the racetrack.
Yep, so that 12th position could mean a lot compared to the end of the race. You don't think about it too much when you say, oh, it's 12th place, but there's a lot that you can go for. Andy T, fastest lap of the race once again, and that time for Andy T was a 1:30.459, trying to break away, so has found an extra 1/10 of a second now that he has been unleashed at the front. Dobelsberger, though, is now looking to stay in range, but Borel has got a better turn of pace and is starting to just pull away in terms of that little race. We've got Kartik Pai versus Nick Thyssen out there on circuit as well, which is an interesting watch. Kartik Pai, of course, has been ever the consistent driver. Has had a really good race so far there in the Camel car. He's up 5 spots here, which is the biggest mover in the field, believe it or not. 12th up to 7th here, Joey. So doing all the right things.
Yeah, and I could be wrong, but I believe that Nick Thyssen, little mistake there through the hairpin, and you see lose a little bit of track position, but I believe he was involved in that turn 2, lap 1 scrum, and he's making his way back through the field. So Nick Thyssen definitely got the visor down, making the charge again.
Yeah, making that charge once more, so doing more than enough to keep in range of Kartik Pai. We'll see that towards the end of the race, but once again, Juanmi Costa, number 4 from Club Iberia, trying to find a way past number 3, Topi Kortiniemi, Club Finland at this point. But the issue that you've got if you're Topi or if you're Juanmi Costa is Andy T's too close. And it seems really weird to say that when the gap is 0.6 of a second, but they are just too close, and there's not much you can do. Juanmi Costa setting the fast lap of the race last time by, and goes to rule 1 of trying to make an overtake in the Sim Racer's hand guide to making an overtake. Get in the mirrors.
Yeah, the easiest pass you can make is just having your competitor make a mistake in front of you, and then you just slip right on by. That's what Juanmi's hoping for, but I don't think you're going to get it out of a competitor like Topi Kortiniemi, and I was expecting to see maybe Andy T run away with it a little bit more, but that number 3 car is showing a lot of speed and staying in the slipstream.
Dobelsberger, speaking of staying in the slipstream, the number 13 from Club Diach getting closer then to Gerard Borel. flying through turn 2. You've got to be so careful about the anti-cut curves there as you go through. You are pretty much on a tightrope through Tamburello, and then you head to the Villeneuve chicane. It's exactly the same. So those small little anti-cut curves, you don't think they do too much, but the moment you get a wheel over them, that's it. You're going to be up however many feet in the air, 2 feet, 3 feet, and you know that A, it's going to be painful when you land, B, it's going to be even more painful when you're in the gravel or the wall.
Well, that's was going to be my point there, is that you got to be careful of those apex curbs like you're mentioning, but also you can't avoid them too much that you go flying off on exit. And I know that people take advantage of a lot of the pavement on exit on this racetrack, and iRacing says, no, you can't do that if you go too far out.
No, absolutely, and we do see that Andy T again, fastest lap at 1:30.2 this time as they go through. Now, these drivers are going to get quicker and quicker as this race goes on, as Nick Thyssen tucks up underneath Kartik Pai looking for the move, because they burn the fuel every time they go through, and the car gets lighter and lighter as they go through a stint. But here comes the chance then for Nick Thyssen. He'll have to do it once again on the outside, but Kartik Pai, alert to it, just is a little bit slower by application on the brakes and just eases into the corner a little more, giving Nick Thyssen no line on the outside to work with.
Really good defensive positioning from Kartik Pai out there, but Nick Thyssen not giving up on this, staying right in the tire tracks of the car in front of him. See what kind of exit he can get out of the hairpin here. He's still staying level.
He's staying level. Piratella's a tough place to make a pass, though, up the hill. Gets within 0.2 of a second. Flicks through the left. Gets great drive off of the exit. Acqua Minerale, though, is a very short run down the hill. You have to turn and brake at the same time through this section. Then you have the majority of the braking here for the big 120-degree right-hander before you crest back up the rise again. And Nick Thyssen's been just keeping honest, keeping open about what do I want to do here at this stage. Up over the curbs, trying to get into a position where this can be an overtake, but at least for the time being, it's going to have to be a wait heading towards the Ravazzas, the two 90-degree left-handers. And once more, Nick Thyssen is all about gearing up that line for the big move. And this is the corner he's got to maximize, and he does so. Look at the run.
Yeah, tremendous exit out of Nick Thyssen, already tucked up under the back wing of Kartik Pai and moving out drivers right, which is going to put him on the disadvantaged side going into turn 2. See what kind of downforce levels they're running. All similar. Braking duel down here. Nick Thyssen holds it strong around the outside.
Oh, Kartik Pai did so well not to cause an accident there. He had to turn in a lot more than he would have wanted in towards Tamburello. And as such, Nick Thyssen, being aggressive on the outside, takes the place again and has done well. Lead battle, though. Look at Courteniemi. He's put in a couple fantastic laps to get himself back into range. And I wonder now what Andy T will be thinking in his helmet of his, as he will now look through the Curva Grassini to put power on the exit. But again, it looks like Andy T's got the better run through here, and Courteniemi's going to have no argument when he gets to the Ravazzas and no argument when he gets to the front stretch.
Now, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to car setup and technical stuff. Now, Topi is plenty close right now to be in the slipstream of Andy T. I think Andy T is running a little bit less downforce, Jake, because look at this. Topi just makes no headway on this front straightaway.
Andy T, we'll see what margin he gets to. 279 kilometers an hour by the time he hits the brakes. Courteniemi in the draft, 279. That tells you everything you need to know. He can't close up quick enough on the straights. Courteniemi's got one built for the corners, and he's going to have to do this in an alternative fashion to get through. And that's where the middle sector is going to be the key here. And this corner here of Tosa, he's the closest when he gets to the Tosa hairpin. That's going to be where Courteniemi's going to have to get it done on this race.
Well, and what we're going to see is just the variation of where Andy T is faster, where Topi's faster, like you were just saying. And you're right, it's going to have to come in a little bit of an unorthodox place, probably not going to be at the end of a straightaway.
No, it's not. And again, right up beneath that gearbox, and one of the most famous engines there in the back of that Lotus 79 is now heading through the right and the left once more. It's about how aggressive you can be on the power, and it's pretty nice this time from Courteniemi. Given some credit there, he's able to go through. They haven't dropped to Juanmi Costa. He's still within about 1.3 seconds. He's still there to pounce if anything should happen between these two. but I think it's a very telling battle right now between the top two. These two have a lot of mutual respect for each other. They know how quick each other are. They know that they push each other to the limits. Andy T will now have to be very cautious over the last quarter of this race. We're down to 5 left here, and Courtniemi, a 30.1 for the first time, now puts himself with the fastest lap.
You just see it's so difficult to make up the ground on the straightaway, but this is the area of the racetrack that I really feel like Topi's faster. If he's going to make a move, check it out going down into the hairpin here. He could potentially make a lunge. He's close enough, decides not to do it with 5 laps to go. Maybe set something up a little bit better.
Now, it's worth noting this. You get 2 points in this series for the fastest lap, and you get 2 points for the pole position. So Andy T has 2 points in the back pocket for the pole position as he attacks aggressively through Piratella corner and back down the hill towards Acqua Minerale as we see Courtniemi disappear for just the briefest moment, back again, and now he's going to try and get himself into play. As that's happened, by the way, Dobertsberger and Burrell changing places like crazy, but that one continues on between those two. But at least for the time being, this is patience personified now from Topi Courtniemi. He's got to get close enough at the right time. He can't show his hand. He hasn't really shown too much of what he's capable of doing via overtake, if he is capable of finding a way to overtake.
Well, and I mentioned it earlier, I know Andy T is a very savvy, very calm and collected racer, so I think he's watching his mirrors plenty, and he knows that he's got a little bit lower downforce than the competitor behind him, but that means he's got to be all the more careful through the rest of the track, not to overstep his limits, because that is where Topi's going to be all over him.
Or Andy T just gets pushed to a 30.0 out there on that lap time, and it is now a case of trading laps. Dobertsberger back behind then Gerard Burrell, who made the pass into Tamburello, so there's been a change. There's also been a little bit of thinking about where do you get close enough to make some moves. Timothy Vaughan and Tamas Bartfai might get close between now and the end of this race too, so they're all having themselves some good runs out there. And I tell you what, the quietest run of them all today, I think, has been Timothy Reed in 5th position. He's done a really good job.
He has done a very good job up there, holding on to a top 5, only up 1 position from his starting spot. But like you said, consistent out there and kind of running a little bit of a lonely race, but that shows you just got to hit your marks and keep on chugging.
Yeah, certainly do, and you'll see the speck in the distance in front of him is the most winningest driver when it comes to the Lotus 79, the legend that is Gernot Fritsch, and Timothy Reed will know that he's got a lot of work to do. 3 seconds over the last stage of this race to chase that down. He's going to be reliant on mistakes in front if he wants to go and bring that gap down to its bare minimum at this stage. We cross the line now. 3 laps to go. We start lap 18 then of this race, and the gap is half a second at the front now. Courtniemi, the gap's going the wrong way because I think Andy T has just woken up. The caffeine's kicked in, and he's now starting to brake.
And I mentioned it, he is a very smart racer. In all of his post-race interviews, he seems like he's on top of the race strategy from the beginning to the middle to the end, and I wonder if Andy T was just cooling off the tires a little bit in the middle part of this race so he knows he can put the foot down at the end.
I wonder as well, but I think he's been forced to push. That much I don't think is under consideration. They've been within 1/10 of a second of each other pretty much every lap of this race, and Topi Courtniemi's going to know it, and Andy T's going to know it. There's no rest for the wicked here around Imola. Every single time you're on a straight, there's no time to really think or breathe because there's always a small turn left or a small turn right that you have to navigate through on every straight around this circuit.
Here we see Topi still in the slipstream, jump back. This is Timothy Vaughan right now on the back of Tamas Bartfai going into a tricky section, really single lane racetrack through here like we've been seeing, Jake, but it's all about applying that pressure.
It is Timothy Vaughan down the hill, Acqua Minerale, and now heading up the hill once again, up towards the Curva Grassini. This is for Timothy Vaughan, a case of finding time. Courtniemi, fastest lap then of the race. They are pushing each other. They are absolutely pushing each other right now in what is an incredible race, but Vaughan gets no drive out of the curve of Grassini. Bye-bye opportunity this lap. You're going to have to wait a little longer for that one to come through. So for Timothy Vaughan, who gets really aggressive through, Dobertsberger, though, is going to try and go to the outside then of Gerard Borel, who's going to take the middle of the road. You can't pass through the middle of the road. And as such, you're just going to have to wait a little longer. There's 2 laps to go, and Alexander Dobertsberger's running out of time.
When actually our leader just had a mistake through the second chicane, got really loose, and now again, really loose 4 wheels off of the racetrack. I wonder if Andy T is starting to struggle a little bit with his race car.
I wonder as well. Andy T doesn't make many mistakes, but when he does, they are minute and you have to capitalize. And Courtiniemi is getting the results that he wants out of it. He's forcing Andy T into a position he hasn't been in all season. Most of Andy's wins have been runaways by 10, 12, 15 seconds. He's not got this today. Everyone's with him today, and he knows it. And suddenly, Topi Courtiniemi through at the first Ravazza, struggles to get the power down, but now they will head with 1 lap to go, knowing that this is the key place to get it done. It'll have to be a little bit different if you want to make it happen. Otherwise, then, 1 lap to go here at Imola. And for Andy T, this is a big lap to hold, and this gives you shades of Alonso Schumacher 2005, when Alonso had to do the most defensive driving he did to cement himself and his status.
I'm looking here, going into the hairpin for Topi to make a move. I don't think he's quite close enough, but this section is where Andy made his mistake last time. Clean through that little chicane section, and now it looks like Courtiniemi's not quite close enough.
He's still got Aqua Minerale. Don't count that out. Juho Reicher, by the way, has made a mistake. He's lost the place to Nick Thyssen and is now back into 7th place. There's a look to the inside at Piratella. Not a place he can make a pass, and Andy T knows it. Pushes wide off of the exit. He's got the instant points to burn. Down the hill then to Aqua Minerale. They will go for the final time. Nose to tail between them. And Courtiniemi needs drive off the exit. If he's got it, he has a chance at the curve of Grassini, the Variante Alta. He's not got it here, though, and he needs Ravazza now, which is the last gasp that he's got, but drive is not there, and Andy T pulls out an extra car length then on this straight, and once more, T's setup prevails once more on the brakes then at Ravazza. It's got to be neat and tidy. It is from Andy T, who will round the second Ravazza corner. Topi Courtiniemi pretty much put the perfect race together. The one thing he didn't account for was car number 1. Andy T's 7th heaven is here at Imola, and he's back in the title picture again.
Topi Courtiniemi coming home there in second, and Juan B. Costa rounding out the podium, but what a battle from those front 3 all race.
Oh, Freach is out of fuel here coming to the line. This is going to be close between him and Timothy Reed. He's just going to get there ahead. And
no,
just
Reed's
is an understatement. It was close, but remember, it's to the finish line instead of the start line there. So that means that it will be Freacher ahead of Timothy Reed heading to the line. And crucially, I want to realize what happened to Juho Reicher a couple laps from the end there, because he did make a mistake out on track on the penultimate lap of the race, which is why he dropped through. And in fact, it was a spin at Tamburello that cost the F2 driver his places. There's Alexander Dobertsberger making the way to the line, and will be behind Gerard Borel by the end. But honestly here, Joey, what a race.
It was a fantastic race. Yeah, like you said, Dobertsberger coming across the line, and wow, one of the best races I've seen here at Imola.
Absolutely. We're going to take a chance to take a breath. And when we come back, we'll have post-race coverage here from Imola, the 10th round of your Sunday Grand Prix series here with the Lotus 79. We'll see you in a couple moments here on the Global SimRacing Channel. You couldn't get much closer in the race for the victory overall. The top three split by 2.3 seconds. But what happened for 6th and 7th position right near the end of the race, we weren't able to catch. But we now have the ability to see just what went wrong with Juho Reiner and that extra one position that's dropped, which is really going to be a kick in the teeth when this was the ultimate chance for him to go through. Catches the anti-cut curb on the inside there, Joey. That's how quickly it goes wrong.
And you mentioned it earlier in the race, anytime you jump those curbs, the landing on them, it really upsets the car, and pretty much game over as soon as he hit that first apex curb.
Pretty much game over, and a real shame there because he was up in 6th position driving a fantastic race in the number 16 machine. But let's get confirmation of results then here from the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, otherwise known as Imola. It is Andy T who gets the victory done, 30 minutes, 13 seconds, with Topi Cortiniemi just behind in second. Juanmi Costa, 2.3 seconds adrift, rounded out the podium, who were a mile quicker than everybody else. Gernot Fritsch, 20 seconds back from Juanmi Costa with fuel to go with as well, just getting it home in 4th place ahead of Timothy Reed, who rounded out the top 5. Nick Thyssen would finish off in 6th, taking the place on the penultimate lap away from Juho Reiner. He said he had pace for the 4th position, did Nick Thyssen. He was a bit frustrated with what happened on lap 1. Kartik Pai would finish off in 8th, ahead of Timothy Bourne in 9th, who was able to stave off Tamas Bartfeid to the tune of 1.1 seconds.
There in 11th spot, we have Andreas Schuster. There in 12th, we got Gerard Borel, kind of an up and down day for him in the number 15. Alexander Dobitzberger, there we saw locked in that battle late in the race with Borel. John Payne coming home 14th, and then the rest of these cars involved in that lap 1 incident. Dylan Freckleton, Kimo Villakainen, and also Nathan Finnegan, days done very early.
Days done very early, and it would have hurt a lot of these drivers to have been caught up in those early incidents. We just passed the statue to the legend that is Ayrton Senna. Over there, you can see the Brazilian flags that are hung up then over at this opening section. We do have a chance, though, to grab the opportunity to talk with a number of drivers. First and foremost, our race winner, Andy T, his 7th victory of the season. Andy, first and foremost, that was about patience, waiting for the right time to get past Toppy. You had a lot of top end in your Lotus 79 today. Just talk about how you were trying to set up that overtake to get the winning move done.
Mostly, I was just trying to feel where he was quicker than me and where I maybe needed to be a little smart about where to push to make sure I was close enough to get an easy pass. Not that he made it easy. He's a great driver and knows how to defend. So, yeah, I mean, you just patience. There's too many people on iRacing just go, oh, I'm within 3/10, best just send it. And that's not usually the way.
That's not the way, and you proved it here today because you had the ability to get to the front, but breaking away seemed a little bit more difficult. There was never truly a place where he went for the move or made that lunge down the inside, but with the differing strategies that you had in terms of setup, would you say that through the middle sector, especially through Acqua Minerale and Tosa, that Toppy made his pace and presence known to you in that race?
Yeah, I think he likes to run the car soft, which is probably going to help him on exit of low speeds and with traction at low speed. So to be expected, he was fast where he was. But I raced Guven here a few years ago and saw he was running like 282 kph top speed, and I was something like 276. And I knew I had to fix that this time because he was faster than me. And yeah, what do you know? I tweaked my set and found a few tenths.
Well, it's magic, isn't it, when you can find a couple more, and you always learn from everyone that's there. Let's talk about your seventh win off of 7 starts. You took 3 weeks away. You're back. You've got the drop compared to everyone else if you can keep finding victories. And this victory today puts you right in the same points haul as those you're around. This is still your championship, essentially, to lose at this point. And with 2 races to go, Catalunya, how are you feeling?
Been a while since I raced it, but I don't think I need much in the way of points, so it'll probably be a safety drive and be sensible, and that should be a championship, I think. It's a great track, though. Great track.
A great track, a sensible bit of battling then for you. But Andy, the floor is yours for anyone you'd like to thank. It is your 7th victory off of 7 starts.
Thanks to the community for welcoming me back. That was a nice surprise. Lots of good messages in the chat. Thanks to Toppy for an amazing race. It's so good to have someone behind you pushing and making you sweat. So thank you for that. A huge shout out to everyone who watches me, the regulars, Hoops, the fam. And the reason for my absence, I lost my motivation as we lost a family member, so that was for you, Vera. Love you.
It's always good when you find a reason to drive, and that was an incredible drive there from Andy T, and very fitting and very deserving there. A victory overall here from Imola. Joey, you've managed to take a walk down the virtual pit lane, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to talk to Topi Courtiniemi, who finished off in second position.
Yeah, Topi, congratulations on the second place finish here today at Imola.
Oh, thank you.
Now, talk us through the race a little bit. It seemed like you and Andy had a slightly different setup. He was maybe running a little bit low downforce, which means that the cars made speed in two very different areas of the racetrack. How difficult was that for you to navigate?
I don't know if to navigate, but to make a pass when the only good opportunity is the start-finish straight. He got a good exit when he made the pass, and I tried to defend on the outside, but that didn't play out too well.
Well, there's definitely multiple lines to take down in there, and it seems like it can be a breaking duel. But once he did get around you, it certainly seemed like you did not give up. And honestly, I thought you had the faster car given the last couple laps. Were you going to be able to make a move in an unorthodox place, or were you pretty much having to count on the slipstream today?
I was planning to make a move into T6, just in the braking, just dive into the inside but I didn't get a good enough opportunity, so it would have not been a dive bomb. But I know I was faster in that part. I don't know why. It's a slow corner. It doesn't matter how much wind you have. Every lap I was faster there. I don't know why.
Well, it's good to know that I still have a little bit of racer in me, that you were thinking about turn 6. It certainly seemed like that's where you were fastest in comparison to Andy T. He was able to hold station down the straightaway, but you really had the car in the front half of the racetrack. And looking forward, looks like Catalunya up next. I know that's kind of a medium downforce level racetrack. How do you think the racing is going to be over there?
I think it's going to be good.
Well, nice and simple. And before I let you go, is there anybody that you want to say hi to?
Congrats, Andy, for the win, and of course my team Bike from Beach Racing and all the partners.
Well, that was your second place finisher. Once again, congratulations, Topi Courtiniemi, on finishing second here at Imola.
Thank you.
Well, a wonderful result there for Topi Courtiniemi. Proved that he certainly had pace. Juanmi Costa also had great pace here today. Third position. Now, Juanmi, you were a driver who really profiteered off of the absences of Andy T over the course of this season. But you come in here today to Imola. You've got a great turn of pace about you, but you're just up against two drivers who are absolutely, 2 of 2, you could say, in this car. But third position, you definitely can't shake a stick compared to where you were compared to the rest of the field.
Hi, thank you. Yes, with these two guys, it's impossible. When I'm behind them and making a small mistake by every lap, it's always hitting a bad curb or taking a bad line. It's impossible to be much closer to them. If I don't make a perfect race, it's the third place is what I have.
So a difficult race in terms of the sense you have to drive perfectly against them. But for you and the ability that you've grown over the last couple of seasons to be in this place where you can now say you are one of the 3 best racers in this field today. You are up there racing for the championship. The points today that you take away from here, you have to be very, very happy about the way that your season's gone and how consistent you've been over this season.
Yeah, in terms of the championship, I'm very happy for this. I don't know if Andy won or not. Maybe only needs a few points, but anyways, for me, it's been almost as perfect as it can be because I took a break of iRacing from 1 year ago and came back for this season. So I never been so up on the championship, I think.
Well, it seems like absence makes the pace go faster. Let's talk, though, about going to what is a brilliant circuit for Spanish racing, which is going to be the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. How are you looking forward to racing on virtual home soil? How are you looking to prepare for that sort of race? And on top of that, just a side question, how you feel about more Spanish tracks with Jerez being all but announced?
Oh, Jerez, I like it more than Barcelona. And for the track, it's kind of in the middle way of the favorites, but because of the runoff area. But I think it will be okay. I had a good time at Silverstone in this term. It's a similar track. I think it will be fine.
You think it will be fine? The floor is yours, Juanmi. Anybody you'd like to thank? It's third place here today from Imola.
Thanks to the community and congrats to Andy and Topi.
Yeah, no worries at all there. So Juanmi Costa, third place overall with a very, very nice drive. An underrated drive, actually, in third. Just not able to make the moves overall. But that is going to bring our proceedings here from Imola to a close. I want to give a massive, massive thank you, though, to everybody who has been a part of this broadcast, as well as the team today, Joey, Daniel, and Dougie, who have been here. Make sure that you check out our social media and, of course, our website down there at the bottom, Global SimRacing Channel. You can always head to our merchandise store as well. You can find links in the description below. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment of racing here with the Global Sim Racing Channel. Our next race in terms of this series is a week from today. It's Sunday the 26th, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll be jumping over to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for the penultimate round of the championship, and all our other broadcasts are flying over on the ticker, so make sure that you keep an eye out on everything that's going on. In terms of what's up next for us, we're heading with RoushParts.com for a sunset race at Sebring. Join us on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for 11 to get things going. Of course, we've got other great racing that goes on, including a Sebring race at 11 p.m. Eastern, which will be something sure to have some great fun with. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.